As I said, I'm addicted to playing the Arknight, and that's why we actually today gonna be looking at the only lore video that apparently I need. Well, because I slightly skipped the story at the very beginning, so I feel like I'm having, let's say, a lot of gaps, and because like this game really got me hooked, I wanna know a little bit more about the lore. So eventually, as I'm playing more and more this game, I'm gonna be a little bit more immersed with the story. I don't know how many times I said story, but let's go.
The channel we explain Arknights Lore. I am Akka, and in this video I will provide a simple breakdown of the lore of Arknights for both beginner and casual players. The lore you'll discuss in this video will be split into several sections, such as terminology, the nations, the various races, and the threats that this world and its inhabitants face. Just a heads up, there are some spoilers ahead. If you prefer to read and play the game without spoilers, then
we're gonna read it either way if
not,
we want
then
to.
let's get started.
By the way, actually speaking about the readings, like I don't know which stage or like which event I got discovered, but like I've never been into like reading any type of game. I really I love reading, but I do love reading books. I've never read like something basically in a game, but like in Arknight with the music background, I kind of felt like immediately immersed like with the writings and like story overall, so really interesting experience.
Let's go over a few terms which are important to the basic understanding of the world of Arknights. Originium is one of the most important words to keep in mind. This crystal is very important to the people of Terra, as it's a power source for technology and powers. However, it's a double-edged sword, as people can get infected with a deadly disease. We'll talk about this later. Originium arts. Think of Originium arts as the magic or powers of the Arknights world, allowing users to cast and manipulate different powers. Some races and individuals may have unique Originium arts unique to them. The word infected is a term or labeling someone with oripathy. People who are infected with oripathy are treated poorly, often as second-class citizens or worse. Various nations and races treat the infected differently, however.
So it kind of basically giving me vibes like we having like two types of worlds, right? Like living together, some like kind of utopian, maybe like dystopian part of the world.
Oripathy is a deadly illness on Terra that comes from active Originium via inhaling it, getting it into your blood, wounds and cuts. Oripathy slowly crystallizes the individual over time until, well, they can no longer breathe or move.
Loki, that previous guy looks kind of like a badass. I don't know if I would like to be like transformed in this kind of way, but looking at this dude, looks like a really nice playable character.
Well, they can no longer breathe or move. Eventually, the individual will die.
Not about this one.
And even combust or explode, spreading the Originium dust crystals around the area of the person's death. If other people are in the area or affected by these, they will most likely become infected, unless they are wearing suitable safety wear. Catastrophes are powerful natural disasters, from earthquakes to storms to blizzards and even to meteor storms. Catastrophes are not only deadly disasters, but it also carries and spreads Originium around the world, making more and more dangerous zones even more and more Originium around the world. To avoid,
I was like, okay, like the natural disease, it's happening like every time, like everywhere, right? So like, what is the big deal? Also, assuming like they having some kind of like technology to like fight the catastrophes a little bit, but like that stupid Originium, it's probably something that literally amplifying everything and make it like 10 times worse.
People have made a vast majority of mobile cities, which are able to move away. Catastrophe messages are people with skills to calculate and analyze when a catastrophe is coming, and give that information to cities so they're able to move away in time. Nomadic cities or mobile cities are cities or settlements that are built over,
I don't know why, but this wall literally reminding me of Attack on Titan.
Are built over giant vehicles, which allows them to move their position on land.
Loki, I'd like to see them
move away from catastrophes. This also functions and allows for easier access with trade with other nations and cities.
It's pretty handy.
The world of Arknights is set on Terra, a planet with similar environments from dry and arid deserts to lush rainforests, wondrous plains, and to harsh, frozen
I wonder how
tundra.
large it is.
In so many ways, this planet is like our Earth, yet so different. Terra has a supercontinent, and still some parts of Terra haven't even been completely explored. Terra
Is it really
also
that big?
constantly changing under civilizations, natural disasters, and catastrophes.
I believe there's gonna be some like a huge racial or like some kind of conflict between the nations or like between the races, assuming they're also like having multiple races, because like just the fact alone they can literally move the entire cities. They should have like enough technology or the knowledge to like thrive. There's probably gonna be a lot of emotions and greed and like fear, mostly greed for power.
Let's
I believe.
start with the nations, beginning with Bolivar. It is one of the western nations on Terra,
It doesn't look that
located
big.
in the northern part. Despite its thriving economy and culture, Bolivar is currently in
It looks
political
nice.
instability due to a stalemate between three major factions: the Sincas dynasty, the coalition government, and the true Bolivarians. It is also famous for the mobile city 𝙉𝙀𝙒𝙀𝙀, known for its neutrality, and the annual event known as the 𝙉𝙀𝙒𝙀𝙀 Warrior
Party.
Championship. Colombia. Colombia is the youngest nation in Terra, and
There's gonna be
a melting
similar
pot
vibes,
of
right?
different cultures and races. Originally a Victorian colony, it declared independence in 1019 and became a very powerful nation in terms of politics and technological advancements.
Ooh.
Siesta is a small independent
Oh,
city-state
so
near
tiny.
the inland sea of Claricide. As one of Colombia's 3 city-states, the city is famous for its touristic patronage, beaches, and the annual Obsidian Festival.
It seems like so far as I've seen, people in Arknight loves partying. Also, like, who the heck is this
Terra's
penguin?
most famous music festival. 𝙉𝙀𝙒 is a nation underground. Not much is known about this location, however, it's home to the
Secret.
𝙉𝙀𝙒. To the south of Bolivar, we arrive at 𝙉𝙀𝙒. This nation is a mixture of lush
That's
forests
huge.
and jungles to hot, dry deserts. 𝙉𝙀𝙒 is led by 2 different leaders. One is the Lord Emir, and the Pasha or the Padishah, who is more acknowledged as the ruler.
Ooh,
Important to note, the Pasha has
Kinda
some more
badass.
power over the Lord Emir. 𝙉𝙀𝙒 does have a king in the central land. However, not much is known. 𝙉𝙀𝙒 also borders the Foen Hotlands to the south. Minos is one of the smaller nations, with a culture
well, I was gonna say like this shape kind of reminds me something, but anyway,
revolving
it's the
on
second
hero
tiniest
cult,
one, right?
mainly the 12 heroes of Himnoe. Minos was at one point colonized by 𝙉𝙀𝙒 between the years 917 and 1042.
There's like so much history around this Arknight, and we only like 6 minutes in. Loki, I would like to see some literally like a movie when we going like through the entire history, or maybe some type of like Game of Thrones, but like Game of Arknights, having some like 8 seasons of the show, but hopefully not the same like shitty ending.
While they broke free, they've often been harassed and raided by 𝙉𝙀𝙒 forces from time to time. Khajiit
Actually, also before we move on, I am genuinely curious if this is like the perfect representation of the nation, or is this like picture or the landscape selection kinda like slightly random? Because if not, the variety and like the culture, and also kind of like a resemblance to like old Greek and stuff, it look really, really interesting to me.
Khajiit is a landlocked,
Ooh,
secluded
another
nation
tiny one.
which is surrounded by a massive mountain range and protected by the goddess Fermat Khajiit. I hope I'm saying that right.
Oh, she looks cute.
Its neighboring nations are Colombia, Victoria, Kazmish. Compared to its bordering nations, Khajiit is still a developing country. Let's venture far north as we go to Sami, the furthest northern country on Terra, and probably one of the most dangerous, as there are freezing temperatures, blizzards, and something eldritch, hideous, lurking in those winds that come from beyond, the Collapsals. Sami
Ooh, what is
home
it?
to.
I would say even though we were told that this land is kind of like a really rough to live on, right? I don't know like about this place. This place genuinely looks like a really nice and peaceful place to at least spend some really nice vacation.
Home to the Effian race, and lesser known ones that are collectively known as the Sami Fjord, that have a tribal-like culture.
I feel like I've heard some stories like a lot of these people coming from the animals, if that's the true, or maybe it's gonna be like told. But this has to be some kind of like a deer clan.
These tribes and clans often clash with the Eldritch dangers. For these reasons, the Sami
This
Fjord
one
are often
looks really
strict
nice.
with outsiders to their land.
Must pull.
Oh, Victoria, one of the most powerful nations, known for its romanticism and use of steam-powered machinery. Despite being ruled by a monarch, either from the Draco or the Aslan race, Victoria has been passing through a succession crisis for the last 2 decades, as both races fight each other for the power. The Dukes of Victoria,
Of
on the
course,
other
the
hand,
power.
have been looking for a chance to seize the throne. Victoria is currently one of the nations involved with the main story. The majority of 𝙉𝙀𝙒𝙀𝙄𝙀 territory is dubbed the Land of the Knights, is covered by grassland and
This could be literally something like a Vinland Saga. At least like based on the picture, moving a few centuries ahead. This looks like a really nice and peaceful place to live in, you know, raising the family. Maybe playing with the boats like on this like tiny river.
home to the knightly Kuranta for generations. Despite its chivalrous and heroic origins, however, 𝙉𝙀𝙒𝙀𝙀𝙀 has become a nation plagued with greed and corruption, using the title of knights and their tournaments to make money and power.
Okay, I feel like I have to take it back, but I am genuinely curious if they or like if the writers or the writer who's been involved with writing the Arknight lore and stuff were actually inspired by real life, because I see way too many resemblances.
Iberia is a coastal nation by the Southern Sea, formerly a powerful maritime empire. They once had the most powerful navy fleets. However, this strong nation was brought down by a devastating and mysterious disaster known as Profound Silence, potentially created by worshippers and threats from the deepest depths of the sea. Iberia since then has struggled to recover and remain distant from other nations.
No, that's a shame.
Profound Silence, Iberia has established a religious order known as the Inquisition, which was previously known as the Church of Iberia. The church was reorganized by Saint Carmen to combat the threats from the sea. Laterano is a small nation and sacred homeland.
I don't know if he's gonna say like how many nations are there, but like seeing the map, and I've already lost count how many he presented. Does Arknight having also some kind of books by any chance? Because not gonna lie, based on what I'm hearing, I would love to read some really thick really thick book about
to the angelic trigger-happy race, Sancta. Laterano is a nation where the Sancta found a safe homeland away from their sibling race, the Sarkaz.
I was gonna say they're moving on to another like nicer place, but now seeing the gun, probably not gonna be the case. I feel like every time I have my like first impressions, this is gonna be a great country, it ends up being corrupted or like conquered or like wiped out.
Despite their long-lasting feud and dark past, the Laterano of today is very energetic, open-minded, and known for its dessert culture with the Pope as their leader. Laterano is famous for its religious beliefs,
This looks really clean.
and the Laterano Church that acts as the government, dealing with numerous state affairs. Aside from the Sancta, it's also home to the Liberi population, due to their diplomatic relationship with Iberia in the past. Lefania's neighbouring countries are Victoria, Casimir, Eurus, Syracuse and Laterano. This country is famous for classical music, use of Originium arts, arts-based technology.
I'm actually really curious how they're using the Originium, because knowing that actually it's kind of like a double-edged sword, like how they kind of like utilize the power or like the sort of healthy traits extracting like from the stone or the crystal while not being affected or like kind of die by, you know what I mean? Maybe I'm like too nerdy, but I'd like to know like how they kind of extract the valuable resources from the Originium and still like not being completely destroyed at the same time.
Musical arts. Lefania was once ruled by the greatest caster in history, the Witch King, who was later overthrown by the twin empresses. It is home to the Caprine race, which makes...
I feel like this was definitely some type of resemblance or like inspiration from real world. Also, side by side, this literally looks low-key like Harry Potter.
the majority of the population. A nation south of Yan and 𝙉𝙀𝙒𝙒𝙄𝙀, known for its mining operations and...
By the way, maybe I'm asking like too much questions, but is this like map like for real? Is it official map or is this like a fan made? Because if it's official, I'm kind of like curious like what's make the shapes
industry
and like what's on the empty spots.
Rimbilliton has one of the 3 biggest orogenium veins running underneath it. Due to its constant mining operations, the residents of Rimbilliton are very vulnerable to oropathy. And while they aren't highly discriminatory to the infected, Rimbilliton is known to see its people nothing more than labourers.
Kinda looks really dusty.
𝙉𝙀𝙒𝙀𝙄𝙀, the land of the mafia, and the fangs and howls of the prominent race, the Lupo and some Volpo.
Oh, nice.
𝙉𝙀𝙒𝙀𝙄𝙀 has influence from other nations, such as the religious beliefs and legal systems from Laterano, technology from Colombia, the Funyun love for music, and the main cultural identity is the mafia tradition that comes from the ancient 𝙉𝙀𝙒𝙀𝙀 and the 12 families that govern the nation. The families themselves are under supervision from Signora Cecilia, which makes her the real head of state.
Ooh.
The ancient land of the 𝙉𝙀𝙒.
Call me crazy, but that was probably the most interesting land as far as I've seen.
𝙉𝙁. This worn-torn nation is home to the native Terran race, the 𝙉𝙀𝙒, which was built thousands of years ago by the first 𝙉𝙀𝙒 Lord of Fiends. The sad state of 𝙉𝙁 is due to the nation
wonder
being
it's that
perpetual
small.
conflict, not only between the 𝙉𝙀𝙒 and the other nations, but also the infighting among themselves. 𝙉𝙁 has been destroyed.
They fighting within themselves? Honestly, this land is giving me like really rough and violence vibes. I'm actually surprised like they still
and rebuilt
stand.
numerous of times in the past. The true 𝙉𝙁 today is where the 𝙉𝙀𝙒 can finally have a place called home. Before there were any concept of countries, the 𝙉𝙀𝙒 back then, known as the 𝙉𝙀, considered 𝙉𝙁 their world. Ursus, the largest nation on Terra, and home to the namesake race, the Ursus, is ruled by an emperor.
Why this literally giving me Russian vibes?
Ursus is often known to be hostile, xenophobic to other nations, and known to be horribly cruel to the infected, but that's a story for another day. Ursus was once ruled by the Hippogriff Libri, but when they failed to protect the nation, the other dominant race, the Ursus, rose up, rebelled, and took over, and renaming the nation to Ursus.
This.
Ursus is one of the nations that are dealing with the collapsal threat in the far north. Higashi is near the northeast of Yan.
It must be
Higashi
peaceful
was
land.
in a long civil war between the northern and southern courts. However, when Ursus tried to invade, the two sides joined forces and pushed back the invading force back into Ursus.
I don't know why, but this literally reminds me like the Korean War. Like when China tried to invade and like take the land.
Where it eventually led to volatile peace between and within Higashi's two sides. While north of Higashi is still isolated from outside nations, the south is far more welcoming. What we do know about Higashi is that it's famous for its founding mythology and love for video games and manga.
It's my country.
Nation, Yan, is ruled by an emperor, which is said to be a true Lang. Yan's famous history is that of emperors wanting to overthrow and kill gods, the gods being Fermats. Long ago, an emperor started a war against these gods, believing that their refusal to help the people of Yan, even when misfortune struck, means that they are unworthy to call themselves gods, and started a great hunt after allying himself with another Fermat known as Sui. They were eventually victorious and removed these threats, and even split Sui into living fragments of itself. Yan is another nation, along with Sami and Ursus, that has conflicts with the Eldritch threat. 𝙉𝙀𝙒𝙀𝙀 is the only known nation that is under the ocean. Not much is.
I was like, where is it? Oh yeah, actually now I see the animation by 404. So I guess it's a fan made, but like either way, it's really interesting. If there is some website that you having the interactive map and you can maybe also like read a little bit more about it, just please let me know.
Known about it. But it is inhabited by the 𝙉𝙀𝙒𝙖𝙄𝙀 race. Supposedly, their technology is extremely advanced, but they are facing a threat known as the 𝙉𝙀𝙀𝙁.
Of course, there's always
the
but.
Church of the Deep, a threatening cult that somewhat worships the Seaborn. There is one more nation to make you aware of.
Don't want to be
That
part
is
of it.
the dead nation of 𝙁𝙀. Potentially a technologically advanced nation of its time, 𝙁𝙀 are famous for their artilleries. 𝙁𝙀 were also one of the nations that allied themselves with 𝙉𝙀 to invade and destroy Kasdel 200 years ago. Unlike the other nations, 𝙁𝙀 later asked help from Kasdel to some extent, and even hiring some Kasdelian royal court casters to help them against Lithanian arts.
I mean, no wonder like nobody's thriving. Like all I'm hearing from this video is war, 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 greed, greed, greed. Maybe except that country that likes manga and anime.
𝙁𝙀 was later destroyed in the Battle of the Four Emperors by its former allies and was completely wiped out. There are still some small lingering citizens of 𝙁𝙀 around Terra, but ultimately the nation is completely gone. There are 3 unknown but dangerous locations on Terra.
I want to
These
know
are
about
the
them.
Fernan Hotlands, the 𝙉𝙀𝙒 ice fields, and even further north beyond the 𝙉𝙀𝙒 ice fields lies an uncharted location.
This is literally like a perfect place for some like end game boss or for some like magnificent like godlike being.
Potentially massive crater within the world of Terra. And that is where we come to the end of the video.
No.
I hope you enjoyed this video.
I am a little bit disappointed that this video is only 15 minutes. Like, I feel like I could listen to this story like for another like 50. I don't even feel like I got spoiled that much like from the game. This was like really informative and like really insightful video. Also at the same time, I feel like we like literally scratched the surface. There's gotta be more. Also seeing part 2, well, there is definitely more. So please guys, let me know if you would like to see more reactions. If you do so, I would like to hop in on a part 2. Maybe also like let me know and link me or like tell me some really great resources that I can read it myself or we can react to it. Overall, I love Arknight. But for now, I'm probably gonna play this game a little bit and maybe I'll see you guys next time. Have a wonderful day. Take care.